from Washington, D.C. Happy New Year, Roland Martin.
Happy 2019, Tom Joyner, Sybil Wilkes, Guy Torre. How we doing? Hope all is well with everyone. Hope you had a great time over the Christmas, New Year's, Kwanzaa. Did I leave anybody out? Anybody left out? Anybody left out?
I think you're good.
Hanukkah? Got you. Okay, got it. Cool. Of course, spent lots of time. I had 20 family members in the house at one time.
Ooh, that's a try.
Yeah, Lord. Yes. And so 14 still are here. In fact, I am talking. I am talking in my basement, and literally I'm in the midst of about 10 nieces and nephews. I mean, I don't care if they sleep, but because they don't pay anything around here.
Y'all stacked in like Bird Box.
Hey, bro, they up in here, and so of course, also great times. But one thing, Tom, black people been tweeting me. I tweeted yesterday. If people could watch movies as family members, shut up. Just don't talk. Don't talk. When there's dialogue on the screen, be quiet. I'm talking to my mama right now.
Roland's got
I'm talking to my mama right now. Yes, Mama, I'm talking about you. Stop it, please. Just watch with the rest of us and talk when it's over. All right. Speaking of talking and who's not talking, Donald Trump today is going to invite congressional leaders to the White House. He couldn't leave because of the shutdown. He was so mad to talk about this border wall, even though Democrats say, we ain't giving you no money at all. Sound like my daddy when I was 10 years old. Nope, suck it up. You ain't getting no money. And so what is going to happen also tomorrow when Democrats take over the House and the Congressional Black Caucus will flex their power as well. Joining us is the incoming chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, Yay. Congresswoman Karen Bass of California. Congresswoman, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Happy New Year to everyone.
Likewise, and hope you didn't have family members who were talking during movies either. Now, let's get right to this, Congresswoman. We have this shutdown going on. Trump says he's not doing anything unless he gets the money for his wall. You're in California. You obviously have had to deal with these issues as well. What do you make of the constant tweeting temper tantrums of the orange one?
Well, I think it's the same pathology we've watched now for 2 solid years. I don't believe that he is at all ready for what is going to happen tomorrow. I don't think he understands what it means. I mean, he keeps talking about how he won the Senate. He doesn't understand government. He doesn't realize what's going to happen when the Democrats take control over those committees. The last 2 years, he's basically run amok with no accountability at all, just like he spent his entire life.
We talk about now he has to deal with a Democrat majority. He has spent the last 2 years trashing people like Congresswoman Maxine Waters. Well, right. Now she is going to be over the Financial Services Committee, and she's also made a point that she's going to be targeting corporations when it comes to the issue of diversity among their staffs. You also have other CBC members who are going to be chairing committees as well. The CBC, the largest caucus among Democrats, will certainly be flexing their power now the Democrats control the House.
Absolutely. And so the two things that will happen tomorrow, we will see. Today the Democratic leadership is going to go over and meet with him. He has said that what Pelosi is offering is a non-starter. But one thing that we know about Trump, what he says today, what he says over the next 5 minutes could absolutely change. Remember, he had agreed to the deal. It had passed the Senate, and the only thing that didn't happen was the Republicans refused to put it up for a vote in the House. If they had put it up for a vote in the House, the government would have never shut down. And so the question is going to be, where will McConnell go in the Senate? We will pass a bill to reopen the government right away. I'm sure we will do it tomorrow.
I sent out, the CBC put together this list of things that they did when it came to the recently passed farm bill. And it was interesting when tweeting those things out, how very few folks wanted to respond to it. But the one thing that I hear constantly, Tom, you hear it as well in civil, is like, CBT, they don't do nothing. They don't do nothing. We don't see them doing nothing. They got no power. And Congresswoman, how do you react to that when the reality how most people don't even recognize that things that members do don't even show up on the evening news? And so how are you going to deal with that as being the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus?
Well, I will tell you that it is up front and center in my agenda because I've been in Congress now for a few years, and the Congressional Black Caucus meets every Wednesday, and there's never a Wednesday that goes by that I'm not amazed sitting in the room and listening to what individual members are doing. But where I think we've fallen short is that we've not really pushed it out there. So the Farm Bill, for example, tens of millions of dollars in financial aid for students at historically black colleges. And I think that we need to do a much better job of communicating and letting everybody know. But what's been so tough over these last 2 years is that Trump has sucked all the oxygen out of the room. It's pretty hard to talk about anything, especially if you're going to, look at some of the major TV shows. They spend 80 to 90% of their time just talking about Trump. So we need to get out there. We need to let the community know on every level of communication that our community participates in. We need to be very clear about what is going on in the Black Caucus and the role that the caucus is playing in overall Congress. As you mentioned, there'll be 5 members of the CBC that chair some of the most significant committees and 28 members of the Black Caucus that will be chairing subcommittees. And so the caucus does have a tremendous amount of power, and you are right in saying that we are going to demonstrate that this year.
Congresswoman, may I just thank you on behalf of those of us who are concerned about the way the criminal element is as they are regarded, but those who are in prison, and the change that was made before Congress ended last session about the shackling of pregnant women. And you're changing that in the criminal reform bill, and that just means and speaks volumes to the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think it's one of those human rights abuses, frankly, that has happened in our country for years. I mean, imagining a woman in labor and being literally chained to her bed as though she's going to run off the table and escape. And so what you're going to see from the Black Caucus is really being aggressive around criminal justice reform. And you mentioned that bill, and that bill was absolutely led by members of the Congressional Black Caucus.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
go ahead,
how long is this shutdown? How long can it last?
Well, the shutdown can last for quite a while. And let me just tell you how stupid it is.
That's what I said.
Because you remember he did agree to a deal. And then when talk radio pushed back on him and some of the most extreme right wing, then, he caved. So the shutdown can end tomorrow afternoon. And I have a feeling that it might go on for a couple more days, but maybe the reality will sink in. Pelosi is going to lead the House, and he is going to have to deal with her. That's going to cause him major heartburn.
Yeah.
Congresswoman Karen Bass,
keep up
new
the great
chair of the
work.
Congressional Black Caucus. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.